Now we'll have a panel discussion, a question and answer session. We invite Revered Swami Atmarupanji Maharaj, Swami Sarvasthanji Maharaj, Rajika Siddhartha Pranaji, Swami Nikuleshwaranji Maharaj, kindly come over. So as it was announced earlier, and in response to that announcement, we received some questions. We have selected a few. Depending upon the time available, we'll ask those questions and we'll read out the names of those who have asked the question. The first question to Revered Swami Sarvasthanji: how can we keep our mental state positive and powerful despite being surrounded by negativity and negative people? Question by Kapil Mehta from Vadodara.
It's a very common question which Kapil has asked, and when we started a course, for Gujarat Technological University, almost 500 colleges and nearly 50,000 students are undergoing this course. The whole course has been based on one central aspect, which central teaching of Swamiji, that is strength. So the answers which Swamiji gives, the main answer which he gives is strength is the solution for all our problems, including stress and how to keep peaceful. Peace doesn't come without strength, as we heard from Sam Pitroda. It's by developing our inner strength. So there are 4 kinds of strength, which we have discussed. We have based our whole course, because all our problems and the solutions to their problems, we know what is good. But what prevents us from being good and acting upon it? As Sam Pitroda said, we know what to do, but the problem is it is very difficult to be good. There is a very interesting book, Lessons from the Mahabharata, by Lessons from the Mahabharata, The Difficulty of Being Good. That is the book by Gurcharan Das. He says the whole Mahabharata teaches us that it is very difficult to be good. Dronacharya, the Kauravas, everybody was trained, they had received the same training, but it is the Pandavas who were guided by Lord Krishna. They knew how to be good. They had the strength to take that goodness into logical conclusions. So Swamiji gives one universal solution, that is, when we are surrounded by negative people, he says, when you are in training, whether it is spiritual training, secular training, education, whatever it is, you tell me one thing, does it make you strong? That is the one question I ask every child, every young man, whether it is in spiritual training or any other training. Does it make you strong? If it makes you strong, you accept it. That's the test of religion, test of ideas. Whichever idea gives you strength, physical strength. He spoke also of mental strength, and more importantly, he spoke of moral strength, and lastly but not the least, he spoke of spiritual strength. And that's exactly what Sam Pitroda, standing on the self, means believing in the power of the spirit, finding out spiritual solutions to all our problems, spiritual as well as secular. That is the answer, the common answer which Swamiji gives, and we have based our whole course on the concept of strength. Strength is the solution for the world's disease. Swamiji says, from the Upanishads, I speak of only one value, and that is strength. Because to be good and to sustain that goodness, you require tremendous strength, and that comes, we often forget, it doesn't come just from physical strength, it doesn't come just from mental or intellectual strength, but it comes from moral strength, which develops slowly as you go on becoming more and more moral, holding on to values in spite of all the things which oppose it. Life is an unfoldment of a being under circumstances trying to press it down. That is the definition Swamiji gave to the Maharaja of Khetri. He said, life is nothing but the unfoldment of a being under circumstances which are constantly trying to press it down. So that is the message of Swami. That is the universal solution, strength. So I think I have answered your question. All the negative influences, everything will go if you try to develop the spiritual strength within. Thank you.
Next question to Reverend Swami Atmarupanji. If someone is selfish and self-centered, he is considered bad in the society. But why it's bad to think of ourselves? Why should we care what others think about us? Question by Rahul Verma from Surat.
Very good question. Let me see, there were several parts to it, so I want to be able to... yes, if someone is selfish and self-centered, he is considered bad in society, but why is it bad to think of ourselves? It's not bad at all to think of yourselves. It's very good to think of yourselves. It depends how you think of yourselves. How you think of yourselves. In one sense, thinking of yourself, knowing who you are, knowing about your history, your background, your culture, your ideals. Who am I as far as my ideals go? What is it that I want in life? All of that is necessary. No one can grow, no one can develop without thinking of themselves. But the problem with thinking of ourselves comes when our interpretation of ourselves is extremely limited. When it's me against all of you. When it's me that's important, when it's I that's important, and the needs of others don't matter. When everything in my association with other people comes back to the little me, then that's the problem. So thinking about yourselves is not a problem, that's necessary. Thinking about yourself in relationship to the truth, yourself in relationship to God, or yourself in relationship to the Atman, the self. That's all good and necessary. So again, it's all in the way that we think of ourselves. Why should we care what others think about us? You shouldn't care what others think about you. You shouldn't care. When we're young, when we're growing up, we necessarily, just because of the way that the mind of the child, none of you here are children, you're all youth, none of you are children, but the mind of the child is extremely absorbent. It absorbs influences from everyone. The parents tell the child who they are and what they are. Teachers tell the child who they are, what they are. Friends tell the child who they are, what they are. Oh, you're ugly, or I don't like you, or you come from a bad part of town, whatever it is. We get good and bad. We absorb so many ideas. We spend the rest of our lives, from the time that we are young adults, the rest of our lives we spend getting over those ideas that we've absorbed. And so, for that also we need to think about ourselves. We need to know, who am I from inside myself, not who am I from outside. We shouldn't care what others think about us. We shouldn't care. Yes, to some extent we get feedback from others, which is good, but only as feedback, not as defining who I am. My self-definition should come from inside. That should come from who I really am, and not from what the people have told me I am. So again, thinking about ourselves is not a problem. We have to do that, and we have to do more of it than we normally do. But how we think of ourselves. And then secondly, that we have to learn not to care what other people tell us, what other people's opinions about ourselves. Yes, we can get information, but we should always reflect on it. As Swami Vivekananda's parents told him as a boy, Narendra, they said, don't worry if people criticize you. If they say something in criticism of you, think, is it true? And if it's true, learn from it. If it's not true, reject it. Forget it. Don't absorb it. So the last thing that we say is that one of the great lessons to learn in life is what to take in and what to keep outside. What to take in. Take in good influences. It says in that beautiful Vedic Shanti mantra, Bhadram karane vishrunuyama devaha Bhadram pashye bhakshakiryachatraha. May I hear with my eyes that which is noble and uplifting. May I see with my eyes, may I hear with my ears that which is noble and uplifting. And so learn to what to take in and what to say no to. And so people's opinions, let their opinions rest with themselves. And I promised that was the last word, but I'll add one more word in the same vein. The Buddha once was criticized, abused by a man. And then the man asked Buddha, so what do you think about that? After he had abused him very roughly in very crude language. And Buddha said, if someone comes and gives you a gift and you don't accept it, to whom does the gift go? And the man said, well, it goes back to the giver. And the Buddha said, yes, and I don't accept that, I don't internalize your criticism.
Question to Reverend Swami Nikhileshwaranji. What is the difference between social work and spiritual work? Most of our speakers said in their talks that Swami Vivekananda worked for the society. So can you elaborate what kind of work Ramakrishna Math is doing? Himanshu B. Patel from Gandhinagar.
Question, and that is in the minds of the people. Normally, they say that Ramakrishna Mission is a social organization. Our senior monks, they say no. Ramakrishna Mission is not a social organization. It is doing lot of social work. But that social work we may be doing. As you know that Ramakrishna Mission is headquartered in Calcutta. It was started by Swami Vivekananda in order to give a practical shape to the teachings of his master Sri Ramakrishna, who say God is present in the temple, in the church, in the mosque. There are so many paths, so many religions, all leading to the same goal, who is differently called as Allah or Ram or Krishna or God. Doesn't matter. But most important, God is present inside every human being. So he said, Shiva Jnane Jiva Seva. And empty stomach is not good for religion. And that is why Swami Vivekananda said that as long as a single dog in my country is without food, my whole of religion will be to feed it. That is my religion. That is why he said Swamiji, in spite of being a spiritual guru, what he said is that this spirituality has to become practical. So we are doing a lot of social work, that is true. There are 173 branches all over the world. We have 14 indoor hospitals, 90 outdoor hospitals, 100 million people are being served, annually, free of cost, through our hospitals, indoor and outdoor. There are 6,000 education institutions where 6 lakh students are studying, 600,000 students are studying. And then there are many rural and tribal development projects, lot of disaster management relief work. All this work that we are doing, lot of social work, value education work, all this what we are doing is a part of our spiritual practice. When we are in the temple, we are worshipping God in the temple or a church or a mosque. That is true, that is needed. But rest of the time also we are worshipping God. We are not doing social service. Only the God is different. There it is God in the temple. Now it is God who is present in the poor people, God who is present in the sick people, and that is why Swami Vivekananda told his brother disciples. So far you had heard the mantra, Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atiti Devo Bhava. Now I am giving you some additional mantras which are more important for the present world. What is that? Daridra Devo Bhava, Rogi Devo Bhava, Daridra Nayanti Seva Karo, Rogi Nayanti Seva Karo. So we are not doing social service. What we are doing? What we are doing in the hospital? We are serving God who is present in the sick people. When we are having our poor man's relief work, what we are doing? We are serving the God who is in the poor.